Welcome to Tuesday night, everybody. I'm Ken Meringolo on behalf of First Amendment Sports. Thank God it's Tuesday. Joined by my main man, Kevin Ricca.
Victory Tuesday, number 5. Shout out. What a great weekend for number 28, Immortalized.
Immortalized. We are missing our main man, T-Bird, not sitting next to us tonight. We hope he will be back next Tuesday night. Hope to maybe see him on the boards this evening. Let's see. Another win. I was trying to think of like the best way to sum up, like kind of not to like take stock or anything. But we've played the best team in the league and we've played the worst team in the league. We can say we know some things about our team. We can say we know some things about the league in general. So much is going on in the NFL, and we are in the thick of it. It's one thing to be a spectator and watching the movie of the NFL every year, and like your character is like the guy in the back, like the extra. You know, he got a costume, but he has no speaking roles.
There's always a burgundy and gold guy, and that was it. Like he's in there. He's one of the 32.
He got his SAG card. He's getting health benefits. Yeah. But nobody cares about that character. Now our character is one of the mainer characters, and it's fun. So
national media can't keep our name out their mouth. It's hysterical. We went from Troy Aikman saying we were going to lose by 100 to now he's saying we're the belle of the ball.
Belle of the ball. Who do we have here? Ken Harris, Peace and Love, Robert Cohen, Greg Martin, AGH, Nasta, Manner of Speaking. I said Robert Cohen. EO. Good to see you, sir. And we have some, believe someone knew that, at least some that I haven't seen. Real life John. Salute you right on back. Greg Martin, welcome, sir. The story of the season so far is it's the quietest, least dramatic, most stress-free 5-2 I can remember in my adult life. Certainly, I mean, I remember when we were good enough to get to 5-2 and think to ourselves, "Yeah, we're supposed to be 5-2." You know, we saw Joe Gibbs put 5-2 teams on the field on the regular, and yet here we are. We were not expecting necessarily to be 5-2. And I'm not overwhelmed with shock or surprise.
No, we had an idea that we were going to be. Well, I mean, what did we say? We were going to win 10 or 11 games, something like that. We have to be 5-2 if you're going to be 10-7 or 11-6. So
you had us at 4-3. I had us at 5-2.
No,
well, that's okay.
Good for you.
T 1, 2, 3. He had us at 4-3 as well. But
But it's a glorious. It's been a glorious 7 weeks. Who gives a shit? It's been a glorious 7 weeks. It's been, no one could have anticipated the amount of happiness. It feels like the 80s again. It really does. I think I'm going out as Halloween as 80s Redskin fan. Why not? It's at the it feels happy.
One. I'm trying to think the oldest jersey I have. Well, I mean, I have a Darryl Green, so that's the one it has to be. I was trying to also think today. So we're 5-2. We're certainly happy about it. I'm not trying to say like we're not surprised because in August we thought we would be 5-2. I'm just saying we're not surprised because the team we've seen on the field every week, it's a 5-2 team. It just is. I was trying to think.
We're good.
We're a good team in this league.
We're good.
Thinking about like to get to 5-2, the moment that things kind of change, and I mean, I think it has to be, well, at least for me, it has to be the Monday night game against the Bengals. That's when we were, because we lost to the Bucks. I think everyone expected Cincinnati to do their week 3 thing where they lose the first 2 and then boat race somebody.
Oh, that Aikman and Buck were like, It's about to be 100-0. I was like, one of the other times I wanted to turn the damn shit off. I had enough of it. But yeah, we found a way to win that game. That was the most important thing. It was a young man coming into his own. 4 of our 5 victories, we've rushed for at least 214 yards. We've gone 214, 215, 215, 216. That night we rushed for 108 yards against Cincinnati. We found a way to win. We weren't in control of that game. This is what the real NFL is. You have to find a way to win in that fourth quarter. You have to have a special guy. I think everyone knows that we do.
Winning time, the ball to the corner. You know, because even like that Giants victory felt a lot like most games we've seen previously, even though we came out on top.
Yeah.
So, all right. So the Monday night game against Cincinnati might have been. Oh, go ahead.
I just wanted to say, because a part of that reason, what a great sentence I wanted to say tonight. The Monday night game. Austin Seibert, the leading scorer in the NFL. Austin Seibert, leading scorer in the NFL. How about that son of a bitch?
He's damn lucky that he is, and we're damn lucky that he is because
so great.
Gropey McGroperson kicked the game winner for Green Bay yesterday,
Yeah.
and I'm like, wait a second. We gave him all this free agent money. We hyped him up on our show. We finally got a veteran kicker. The guy gets handsy at 10,000 feet.
What a douche.
And then we can't have him, but somehow the story goes away, or what? No one cares, and now he's kicking game winners, in Lambeau and doing the Lambeau leap.
Hey, if you
That's
know
fine.
what, if it all worked out for him, and maybe it was some BS, maybe it wasn't. I don't know. It was funny to talk about because it was not funny to talk about. It was funny to self-medicate about on this show. But if it all turned out that we got Mr. Siebert, then I think it worked out well. So far, so good. Leading the league in points. We knew who this guy was. He was kicking off a freaking like a tree, right? He was kicking off a tree in his neighborhood.
I want to hit that tree. I want to hit that tree.
This is like Joe Bugle shit. This is like, oh God,
Uncle Rico, dude. You wouldn't see me kick this ball over that tree. It just also plays into a thing of mine, like I don't know, it's a disorder. I'm sure some kind of like I feel like everywhere I turn, I see a former Redskin kicker doing something good for some other team.
There's a shit ton of them.
And he never even played for us. Yeah. That's the thing about that kills me the most.
McManus?
Yes. Yeah, now he's a former Washington kicker. He's a former Washington kicker that never, ever even took the field for us. It's so weird. It's so weird. But anyways, hopefully I'll get over that. Welcome, Keegan. Good to see you, sir. The Austin Siebert story is another classic example of, a move that our guys made at the right moment, and it's worked out swimmingly. There's been more than just that one. I mean, to get that guy and how he's a leading points, scorer in the league, that says something. I mean, it says something about finding you got to find that guy. What would be? I know this is putting you on the spot, and give me a decision that you think of, and a decision that was made after the start of the season by Dan Quinn, Joe Witt, Adam Peters, Josh Harris. It could be anything, organizationally, on the field, off the field. I'm not going to leave you hanging.
After the season started.
Yeah, after the season started.
Yeah. I mean, like, are you talking about like a call?
Yeah, just a call.
I
feel like, because here's the deal. Because I'm used to last few years, our guy on the sidelines did this. He stood there like this. He made very few calls. And the people in the front office, they couldn't call out for pizza.
Just the way it's run. I don't have one specific because all of them.
Maybe this is more of a moment type thing than a decision type thing. But Jaden running out of bounds against Arizona and kind of like passing a note to Cliff Kingsbury on his way back in, being like, "Hey, they're playing man. Let's go for it." And the next, he calls in the play that they did hand signals about, and it's a touchdown.
He looked over the play previous.
Yeah,
he looked over and was like, "Can I check?" And they were like, "This is the big leagues. You are the second pick of the draft, our first rounder." Yes.
Things like that haven't happened in on a positive level for us in quite a while. So 5-2 with all the makings of legitimacy. This it's not fluky. Like I said, we've played both the best and worst teams. It's hard to take away too much. Is there anything you even want to take away? There's actually some takeaways from the Carolina game. It's just tough to put your chest out after that game.
We have to say one thing, and Marcus Mariota has been described as such a mentor to Jaden Daniels and what a great guy on and off, and it's been just a magical relationship. And he's also been injured, banged up, and unable to practice and get work in. And he's not getting a ton of reps, so he's got to rely on his 10 years of experience, and having a guy knock a little bit of rust off the first couple series. I think he went 0 for 3 to start, and it didn't look great. There's about 3 other incompletions on penalty plays. Yep. So really, a lot of people were hitting the panic button. He was like, they saw like 5 incomplete passes in a row, even though 2 of the plays didn't count, and everyone was panicky. After that point, he rights the ship. He goes 14 for 15 for the 14 of the next 15 over 3 drives that resulted in 2 touchdowns and a field goal with over 150 yards. Get the shit out of here, man. Yeah. The really well-run, well-oiled machine franchises always understand the backup game, especially at the most important position on the field. And a million people did not like this, including me. I was like, Mariota, really? what we're doing and what we're building, he's the perfect guy for this gig right now, right here, today. Who cares about the future? Who cares about next year? Right now, today. And he showed that. I took a ton out of that. The guys showed that. They know what he is. They know what he brings to the table. His level of play, as it elevated the rest of the teams offensively, because defense was out there just giving them the business. That was sick.
Marcus Mariota, everyone saw the show quarterback, and he just, his body language was terrible. He was clearly having a bad time, not living his best life. And we thought we signed that guy. And when everyone's like, well, wait a second, did everyone see the same show where he looks like he never wants to play another down of football? So we have 2 number 1 overall Heisman winning quarterbacks with very, very similar styles. I think the comment was made on TV that if you took, their senior year, their last year of college ball, very similar. Doesn't have a Taylor Heineke arm. He's got a legit pro arm. And his calculator runs. I think the thing that is fair, and it's a exclamation point on what you get in a guy like Jaden Daniels that you can't know until he plays a game, is because Jaden has the ability to hike, throw. And as good as Marcus Mariota,
only if they still say hike. I'm just going to say, if they still say hike, you're correct. The rest of the statement is true. Not sure about the hike.
Omaha hike.
Hike.
The quick trigger. Everyone thinks that. I mean, people really, I guess, believe you can teach it. I think it's more. The more we learn and the older we get, I don't think you can. I think it's because Marcus Mariota, as good as he is, he held onto the ball the way we've seen many a quarterback do. Now he made good decisions beyond that, but his release was markedly slower than Jaden's, which I think is interesting. But he also understood the offense enough to hit the receiver in the right spot. I think he used Zach Ertz. He understood the philosophy of the patterns. I saw a bunch of the all 22 this week, and you could see he was able even to use his eyes and his shoulders to move defenders. He absolutely is ready for this moment. And
backup quarterback, pro, perfect.
The team is perfectly happy to have him play games.
They loved him. The way the team responded to him, that was awesome. The way the team responded, I thought was awesome. That was. You see
Derrick Henry after the Baltimore game with Marcus Mariota at midfield after the game was over,
just dwarfing him.
But he came up to him like Derrick Henry came up to him like he was an 8-year-old, and he was like, "Marcus, my man," and he jumped into Marcus's arms. And it was like, well, wait, what? I mean, obviously they played together.
Yes, and he's an extremely kind soul, a very sensitive guy. Marcus Mariota is like, I don't know if you know many people from the Polynesian culture, but this is a remarkably respectful culture of just kind-hearted people, and they're badass.
And they work hard. Yep.
That show, he was miserable. He did not hide it well. It did not look good in hindsight, but watching him out there this week, I had to feel pretty good for
all those Atlanta fans. Who were used to that Arthur Smith wing tee, 1938 style of offensive football, and they're like, they just thought he was washed up. He looked and sounded and basically said he was. They watched
also
yesterday.
Beat up physically,
super beat up. Especially he got when he came into the league. I mean, he was just absolutely knocked around, but unbelievably so. And so then he had to go play in Arthur Smith's offense, where the quarterback, I believe your father was calling those plays for Marcus Mariota. He'd be like, run it again.
We're going rock'em sock'em robots right.
Yes. So, all right. So Marcus Mariota and Cliff Kingsbury. I guess we have to say Cliff Kingsbury's name. He continues to show. I guess he's been so good through 7 weeks that it's now more common for people to say, well, yeah, he's good, but he's not staying here that long. He's going to be a head coach at this rate. I'm like, take a deep breath. He was just a head coach. Yeah. It went terribly. He's getting paid a ton of money.
He has a ton of money.
He's got this job as long as he wants it. And he has Jaden Daniels.
And I love it. And I'm also going to say Joe Witt.
And Joe Witt.
After defense. And how about, it's not shocking to any of us that the first pick six of the season occurred at home on Darrell Green.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we didn't think it was going to be a defensive end, but...
Did he look like a defensive end there?
He looked like a linebacker. I mean, like a running back.
Yes, he
Not
did.
even a tight end. I was like, oh, make that cut. What?
It's like Jim Brown.
I was like, come on, Deron Payne, make that block. Never mind. They ain't catching him.
I mean, he looked like he was 20. It happens every week. He looked like he was 23 years old. I mean, he's not 23 years old. He's an old dude. And I won't say that to his face, but man, because that when we signed him, we were like, man, I hope we can get some good the last squeeze of juice out of old man Winter. I'm not doing any of the squeezing. That's on you this year.
No, you're the juicer. It's written in the contract.
Oh, fine. Like he was like some 95-year-old dude. He's been playing his butt off, and number 6 is starting to show up. Like, when you're watching, like your eyes just go to him. I mean, number 4 is first and foremost. I think.
Shit, he's so
but number
good.
6, you're kind of like, wait, he's making a play. Frankie Louvu again.
He's everywhere, man.
Is the man? I can't believe. I mean, whatever we signed. Did we sign him to a 3-year deal?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, should have been.
And then St. Risto leads the team in tackles.
50. So that's the name that we have to, because getting cornerbacks right is like the key to success. As much as it is getting quarterbacks right, getting corners who can actually play. I mean, we're watching in real time our inability to do it.
Yeah.
He looked good.
No, he's a very good player.
He flies to the ball and he makes tackles.
Yeah.
What else do you want?
No, I think we got the Carolina stuff covered. I mean, just there, unless you want to talk about old Darryl for 1 minute, because
sure,
it was. Well, I'm just saying, what a great human being. A 20-year Redskin, 20 years.
Yeah,
and I didn't realize that he only had one punt return for a touchdown ever.
That's right, in his whole life.
Ever. It was it. That was it. That one. And then the play against Minnesota, Doug Williams talks about it all the time, breaking up the pass.
That's right. The pick six.
Send to the Super Bowl.
Oh, wait, no.
The pass breakup at the goal line.
That's right, against Minnesota.
It's Doug Williams was talking about that over and over again. It was thrilling. I think a lot of us are starting to have that little spark feel from the 80s. You know, we've never let the spark die. We've been here for 9 years doing this, and everyone on the board, majority of you guys have been rolling with us that time. We've never let the spark die, but this feels different. I think you guys agree. Yeah. And having Darrell Green be honored, one of the great men in the community. And back then, there weren't such great men in the community. Not being a jerk, but the professional athletes were more lauded for their, John Riggins, passing out at the White House Correspondents' Dinner is more exciting news than Darrell Green out in the community doing what he's done for eternity. So having a man like that, who's always been a guy that's given back to D.C. and the surrounding communities, get honored and get that jersey putting up there. It was like going back in time for me. It felt great. I did get a little choked up. That was a cool.
Hell yeah.
When they were talking about him, I was like, that's exactly who the hell he was. And I felt like I knew that, in what did he get drafted? 84, 83. He missed that first Super Bowl and he was here for the rest. So, oh man, what a stud. That was neat. That was special. That was a trip back down memory lane for some of the greatest days of the Burgundy and Gold and my history.
Chasing down Tony Dorsett, I was, I remember it, but I was super young. How we were crazy young, and we can remember that far back. But he was here for 20 years. Lots of plays he made. I like the running down of Tony Dorsett. I think that was
it's incredible. I remember watching everyone's reaction to that in the house, and it was talked about. If they had what we have now, that would have been watched relentlessly over and over. It still was. Every local news was going to it. I think he beat him out for Rookie of the Year that year, right? The year before, maybe. I think that for some reason.
Well, Darryl was a rookie that year,
but so it wasn't Tony Dorsett. Darryl finished second to someone that year, and he was pissed. Whatever it was, I remember saying that'll teach him for him finishing second. Yeah. He's the Rookie of the Year. I just remember that was the talk, and I was like, how could he not be the greatest player on earth?
I always remember
5'9", $180, 5'9", $180 from Texas A&I.
And
Kingsville.
He towers over. He's thick compared to Forbes. I always liked the off-season fastest man races.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I would always be like, "That's our guy."
I know.
It's our guy. Every year,
so
it's like
cool.
Willie Gault and Herschel Walker and these guys, and they're
Wayne Gretzky, getting dusted.
Get out of here.
Gretzky could run a little bit, and he'd win the first heat against the guy from General Hospital and the guy from Reading Rainbow. But then when you got to go up against
Fred Rogers, maybe not.
Willie Gault was an Olympic sprinter.
Yes.
I mean,
Willie Gault and Darrell Green were that was multiple years in finals.
And Willie never got him. Willie never got him.
Darrell raced Carl Lewis and allegedly beat him. That's what we say. I love the fact that he got to play. I think about, when you talk about building a team and building parts, like we built the defensive line, or when we had the Hogs on the offensive line. We had one of the all-time greatest cornerback rooms in the history of the league. I don't think there's a better cornerback room. We had Deion Sanders,
Champ
Bailey, and Darryl Green. Those were
yeah.
our starting 3 cornerbacks for a hot second, and I was a season ticket holder, and I couldn't believe I was like, I get to watch Champ Bailey, Deion Sanders, and Darryl Green cover on every play. Like that was unbelievable that we had.
The Champ Darryl part was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's all 3 Hall of Famers. 3 now officially 3 Hall of Fame cornerbacks locking it down on the outside. Anyways, that and you can't do it without Darryl. Doing right by the guys. The posse was around. You saw some of these guys hanging out. I think Josh Harris and those guys are proven that they are ready to act like that they're like stewards, not just stewards, but also like maybe it's our job as the owner of like the greatest asset in the city to maybe you have to come out of pocket and do cool shit, and he's doing it.
And can you imagine the meeting? Like, all right, what is this idiot fudged up for the last 27 years? You're telling me number 28, who had 54 interceptions, has not had his jersey retired yet? Okay, let's get that. All right, it'll be the Panthers. So what else? There's so much other shit.
He put a curtain hanger behind glass and called it a Sean Taylor
Jesus,
sculpture.
God in heaven.
Oh yeah, it would literally be the easiest job to be the marketing director of this team this year. Just like it's the easiest job to be the owner. It's like literally all you have to do is say those kinds of things. Why don't we retire Darryl Green's jersey? Why don't we buy beer for everybody? At these bars. Why don't we have? I mean, it's like wait, like you shouldn't even like that. They shouldn't even need to pay somebody to have those thoughts. But that's how it's the easiest job in the world.
Yeah, it's making me very happy.
Yes.
Let's do the wave again at the stadium. I don't give a shit. Do the wave again.
I'm not a wave guy, but I don't
just do the wave and embrace the wave.
I've waved. I will wave.
You just need to do it the first couple times.
That's
then
all.
It becomes
that's
annoying.
it. I'm not doing it while games going on.
I get it.
That's the one thing that bothers me the most is and that's the problem with FedEx 15 years ago. Yeah, it was full. Had a lot of other teams' fans, a lot of haters, and people just hanging around and corporate whatevers, and they were just chilling, and they weren't there to watch the game, but they were there to wave, and I'd be like, "It's the third quarter."
I'm thinking about the '80s wave.
Yes,
that should be the Halloween costume. '80s Redskin wave.
Redskin wave, no problem whatsoever
If
with
you
an
were in a
RFK.
wave, yeah, you just explain it. If I was in a wave at RFK in the '80s, this is what I would be wearing.
It is exactly what you would be wearing.
Well, sort of.
Minus the Speedo that no one can see.
No, it would have been the oversized breeches, wool boxers that crumpled up and were horrendously uncomfortable with a quitter in the band.
With a quitter in the band.
Damn it.
And a belt loop likely missed at some point in time.
A tweed belt loop.
I want to say I was probably Gap khakis with a... Like the old, before boxer briefs came out, like the Under Armour boxer briefs, like the legit underwear. Before that came out, it was like a pair of shorts that you wore under your shorts, and you're like, well, this doesn't work at all. This is just shorts under my shorts. That's not boxers.
Spandex.
Yeah.
Britches, great outdoors. I don't know if you're familiar from where you're from.
Oh, we're talking about the Warthog shirt? Yeah.
Yes.
Come on, dude.
Those underwears were like triple ply.
Yeah.
And they were supposed to be worn in the winter, I guess, which was also horrible. But all of it was horrible. It was just not a good temperature for your core.
Maybe for like the pilgrims in 1700s on the plains.
I would just say one thing.
Indians.
My one comment about it, they were stanky.
Yes.
I mean, it was just it was hard to get a stank out of them.
No, they held it on tight. Wow. They were like, "That's my stank." It was which is a terrible trait for something that never gets thrown away. It's a terrible trait for something that never gets thrown away.
I can just picture sniff testing them right now. Sunday morning, 9:30. These are good for the.
You know what the clean steak smells like?
These are good for the Giants game.
There's the stank, and then there's these aren't fully been stankified. Yeah. They have been de-stankified. Yeah. Haven't yet to be re-stankified.
There's always that. All right, someone's definitely going to smell this.
What pants am I wearing? Are we going?
All right. It's always great getting caught by your wife doing the old. Tester. What are you doing? I was like, I was blowing my nose. Sorry.
If I turn these inside out, then there's a skid mark on the outside of my shorts.
Moving forward.
NES Tecmo in the house. Good to see you, sir. Eric Dickerson was Rookie of the Year, according to Ken Harris.
Yeah,
Ironically, another
that's
guy
nice. Yeah, I like
that
that.
Darryl famously chased down
I
in a
think
playoff
that
game.
I think that's the story that I was.
Yes,
that was
he chased down.
Well, that's why you need Ken Harris in your life.
Yeah, that's why we have him. Well, I mean, also he's the greatest guy ever. Britches Boxers led to. Oh wait, I'm reading these comments, but I can just put them on the screen because I need to be doing that. Britches Boxers led to no underwear for years for numerous humans. You got like residual underwear after a while. I mean, it was just kind of there in spirit.
It feels like it's on.
Yeah, it does. It feels like it is.
Greg Martin says no match for Bacardi Rambo. Bacardi. I see your autocorrect leads, sir.
No match for Bacardi Rambo,
Philip
Philip Thomas, and David Emerson.
Oh,
That's
Emerson.
true. Bacardi Rambo. Bacardi Rambo, by the
And
way,
let's just get on it. Ron Rivera, they're just pooing out all of the dudes you picked in.
I wrote it down. There's another guy.
Oh,
just,
God,
like,
dude.
Just like unceremoniously. He played on Sunday.
Jamin Davis was like going to be all right as a edge rush guy, like maybe reinvent him. I don't know. Like, was he that bad?
I think he ran right past the screen guy that he was supposed to be covering on Sunday. And if it was against anyone else, did you see that? He did. I think he ran right by him, thinking he could get to the quarterback.
I watched the game afterwards.
I know that whole play is designed to get someone, leaning and overplaying, and I think he overplayed it, and I think that's proof that he did.
Yeah.
So, a healthy scratch didn't make a big difference in a game against the worst team, and now he's a free agent. I hope I think.
Thank God Forbes got a pick.
He said his agent is like, oh God, because he's not exactly, there's no great headlines about him out there these days.
Nope. In fact, so I didn't stick up for Jamin quite the way I have about Forbes, but they are hand in hand. Ben, the two guys, everyone's like, ooh.
Yes.
Man, I admit it. I'm a Forbes guy, and right now it's hard, but I'm not going to backtrack. And I'm not saying that everyone else is right. I'm wrong right now, but I'm standing my ground as a Forbes guy. I'm so far. I thought he'd be a little bit better right now. I mean, it was a good pick. Fine, he made the play, but it wasn't like some ridiculous.
Dude, Andy Dalton was freaking out. Clearly, the receiver ran the wrong route, and Forbes was there, and he caught it. We've had guys, Carlos Rogers, who couldn't catch a ball that was
could not catch his ass into some britches, great outdoor flannel boxer shorts.
So good on him. And yeah, again, if he doesn't, because you can't cut a guy. Can you cut a guy who just gets the interception? I think. What if it was like this? What if it's like, all right, clearly we can't trade both these guys because everyone knows we hate them. But if we cut one of them, they'll think we secretly like the other, and then maybe we can get something for him. I don't think we can get rid of cornerbacks at this point in time. And Emmanuel Forbes, upside in his second year in the NFL, for God's sakes, is probably not so much. Because if you get rid of Emmanuel Forbes, then you have to deal for one of these cornerbacks, and I don't think Adam Peters.
Yeah, depth-wise.
He's not. What was the Rennis Center? No, the old school $5 a day. $5. You could just rent anything. What the hell was it?
Rennis Center?
Well, there was a Rennis Center, and it wasn't Errol's. I don't know. There was an old school store. I know Ken Harris knows what I'm talking about. They had a commercial. $5.
I'm just gonna rely on Ken Harris for everything.
Yeah, we do. We will. But I don't think Adam Peters is ready to go on a layaway plan or rent right now. I think he'd rather spend a third round pick on a guy next year that he can get for 3 years at a rookie minimum than use that third round pick now on a rental corner. I mean, people were talking about J.C. Horn. I know these guys are good players, and they're good enough to play for us. But in year one, I just don't see Adam Peters getting rid of a pick like that.
So, no, I don't see him. He is not dealing any big time picks now. He loves his third rounders.
Mm-hmm.
He loves them. He swears by them. So I believe this: if he does use one now, he will somehow reacquire one, maybe two later. Like, it's not just set in stone just because we don't have one.
Call Howie. Maybe they want Emmanuel Forbes up in Philly.
I'm just saying. Exactly. Listen, you guys are just picking all willy-nilly, but I don't believe we do. I think it's ridiculous to think about doing anything offensively unless it's a receiver off the streets in case of injury for depth. That's it. Yep. I let the offense
Which we kind of did today, right?
I know. We did. By the way, let's talk about that for 1 second. Michael Strachan, not related to T-Bird.
Different mothers.
But also
and fathers.
Born in Freeport, Grand Bahama Island, where my grandmother spent 10 of her last years of life on this earth. and hosted my wedding. And I've been there probably 15 times in my life, probably spent a couple months of my life in Freeport, Grand
He's got to have
Island.
a happy soul. He's got to have some.
It is the country. It's not like these trips down. Like, it is the most gorgeous sight you've ever seen. And then there's one little downtown. The rest is just gorgeous. I mean, it is.
Yeah, it's spread out.
It's a 6'5", 2 1/4. Man, he's stuck out there.
And he just crossed the water to go to Charleston.
On a clear day, you can see Miami. You can see the coast from Grand Bahama Island. But I love that pickup just because he's a Strachan from Freeport, Grand Bahama Island.
Strachan from the Bahamas.
But there's no offensive pickups. We're not touching anything offensively, but it's really hard to be sitting here in the thick of things, feeling pretty feisty, feeling like winning these ball games. And yes, we know we're developing talent, but I'm sorry. Pass rushers and corners, cover corners and pass rushers don't need to be as integrated into the soul of the fabric of what you're doing as an offensive player would.
So if you can find the right guy.
I believe you can. And a lot of guys have played in a similar system in the 4-3 that we run, and who gives a shit?
Zadarius Smith, you like him?
I do.
He's what, 30? I think he's 32.
With another year in his contract, which I
One
think
more
is
year.
important.
Yep, it is very important.
Yeah, I think that's important.
But that's like the...
And he can play inside and outside, which I think is neat. But I would have no problem, and I haven't even gotten into the names. You know, I do have a list. Excuse me. I do have a list here. But I'm just saying this. I don't care if we do something defensively. I would be happy. I'd be shocked if we did something huge. I don't think, no way first round.
I'd be shocked.
I'd be shocked. I'd be almost shocked if there's a third, but I know this. What Peter's ability to come up with in third round and get rid of for third round and third round. Peter's third roundness is pretty special. His fourth round and fifth. So I'm just saying we could possibly give up a little bit of draft capital that we can reacquire later to bolster this defense to go and win an NFC East title. How about that? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying we're going to win the Super Bowl or we're not going to have some blockbuster guy come in. Myles Garrett is not coming here, man. That guy's not coming here.
He's not tradable. If you look, his
I know,
contract.
but I just keep seeing everyone talking about Myles Garrett and Max Crosby. I'm like, guys, just everyone deep breath it.
As soon as Deshaun's Achilles was official, and they got rid of Amari Cooper obviously already. That was the contract I looked at first because I'm thinking rational minded. This is the time when you hit the self-destruct button in Cleveland and get rid of everything that's not nailed down.
God.
But in order to this is the whole problem with the Deshaun Watson contract. Now, yeah, they can be done with Deshaun Watson because it's going to cost them a fortune. I mean, it is cost prohibitive even with a broken Achilles for them to get rid of Deshaun Watson. But in order to have Deshaun Watson on his $230 million deal, which they still owe him another $92 million of guaranteed over the next 2 years, then you find yourself doing things with contracts like they did with Myles Garrett. His contract next year is for $1 million, but he has like another $60 or $70 million coming, and it's like voided years and all this other. So all the games they played with that makes him pretty much unmovable. Unless it's some crazy weird situation. The other thing is
that poor guy.
Yeah, he's screwed. Him and Nick Chubb. People want to talk about. I love that the trade deadline is a thing, and I think that people just need to wake up to it's a very unique NFL trade deadline. Like, it's not Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball teams have like 4 or 5 teams worth of players, and plus academies and. It's a bunch of guys you've never even heard of, and you can get prospects who are years away from making the league, to get rid of a good player off your roster. I mean, it is not that. That is not the way the NFL works. I think that, we just need to divorce ourselves from the notion that everyone is either a buyer or a seller. There is a third option, and it is equally attractive to guys like Adam Peters, and that is my team's on the floor, like the Norman Dale.
Sure.
My team's on the floor.
I picked this team. This team's doing great.
Yeah.
Who's had something to say? Does someone have something to say about Jahan Dotson? I don't think so.
By the way,
Holy
Howie,
shit.
my
We
phone
laughed our asses off. And then everyone panicked. And I was like, does anyone think Jahan Dotson is really this good? Like, are we really thinking this?
I think that the amount of players like De'Ami Brown that you have to have, and those guys have to be even just this much above average, which a lot of times this season he's already been more than that above average. the ways in which you impact the team. So another thing I was talking to folks about. In fact, I was talking to Greg about it. I think a sneaky stat is that the Skins are, I think, third in the league in kickoff return yards, and I believe second or third ish in punt return yards. Now, punt returns, it's a separate conversation. The kickoff, we talked about it for months. Like, this is a play. Someone's going to be good at it, and someone is not going to be good at it. Some people are going to care about it, and some people won't. People still kick it out of the end zone. But we have been getting good yardage, and we clearly have something working there with Austin Eckler. We're one of the best teams in the league at it.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
it's the coaching. We're talking down to the special teams now. We got like everyone is just shining. Everyone is shining. I love it, man.
Yeah.
Like when I said Wayne Sevier earlier, we've been talking about it. Like since when was our growing up, our special teams were impeccable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
Like we just won every which way. We won every which way. Complimentary football. It's so nerdy to
Otis
say, but
Wansley, Reggie
we were
Branch.
so great. Dude,
Kirk Ovea.
Dude, we had, I mean, I remember Mike Nelms, and he would never, ever fair catch. And I was like, we have the coolest, we always had the coolest returner. I mean, Brian Mitchell, come on, man.
Yeah. Jeff
Dude,
Hayes.
Jeff Hayes was a great kicker, a great athlete. Our kicker ran down on kickoffs, knocked the shit out of everyone. Chip Miller. I mean, we had Mark Mosley was the MVP. Like, we are the special teams capital of the NFL universe in the 1980s. Now, I know the 49ers are pretty damn good at that, too, but I don't give a shit about them. I give a shit about us.
That's right.
And right now, it's just another one of the many things that feels like, wow, this is what real teams feel like. This is what successful football feels like. This is what big time fans of big time, which I grew up as, and as did you and everyone here. This is it.
Yep.
We got a. It's just starting.
It's just starting,
but it feels like it's coming.
So we don't necessarily need to. Like, I understand the urgency of every year is important, and every, but still, this still counts as one of the cheap starting quarterback years that you get when you draft a rookie, and we feel like he's good enough. We would agree he's good enough to be on a winning team in the playoffs in the postseason, however deep you want to talk about. So I can see, like, okay. Like if a Zadarius Smith or a J.C. Horn or some of these guys that could definitely play for us.
Hold on, TR says Josh Johnson.
Jonathan Jones?
I said Josh Johnson for your benefit.
Wait, where's did he say Josh Johnson?
No, he said Jonathan Jones.
Okay, Josh Johnson. Jonathan Jones, he is rumored to be available. He's one of the Jones brothers. I'm all about a Jones brother on your team, I feel like is pretty badass. So there was Jonathan Jones, I believe Chandler Jones was the brother. I'm not sure, but and then
dude, you're the one. There's the Hog Jones brothers,
and then the UFC Jones, the baddest ass guy you never ever want to.
Yeah, I forget
cross.
His name. With the B, Bones
Jones. It's Bones Jones. So that's a family that I feel like, all right, I'm down with. I trust the bloodline there to come on a team like ours. The Jones brothers don't mess around.
I trust the bloodline.
You got to trust the bloodline sometimes.
Dude, Bones Jones has had a few interactions with the Yotota.
He sure has. He doesn't play by. It is Bones Jones. Niles Paul. Nope, not Niles Paul.
NES Tecmo, I just was looking it up. Sorry, I blanked on it. I wanted to say Tom Izzo, and something sounded weird. Thank you.
Our guy
Larry Izzo. Larry Izzo. Marv Levy, I remember that, Ken Harris. I love it. So I love the history of our special teams, and I love that they're changing history with the new kickoff, and we're adapting and succeeding in the return game, punts and kickoff wise. Without any punt or kickoff returners, all off season we were kind of looking for who it would be. Who's it going to be? What was the dude from UCLA? The little guy we thought it might be.
Kaz.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, Zacchaeus. I don't know how to say his name. He has fit in perfectly. What they're asking him to do is exactly what he's good at. I just can see like Steve Spurrier or
You like to say a lot of unsavory names in your.
They get their hands on these kind of guys like Trunk Candidate or random Lavernius Coles or some of these whatever guys, and you're like, They need to see speed and athleticism. I'm like, well, he's a wide receiver one, or he's getting the ball every third down. It's like
Greg Martin once they were talking about the Jones brothers,
Jonas
and
brothers.
Ken just hit you with that truncated.
I gave you some truncated action.
You just mixed it in. Come on.
Zacchaeus.
Don't ever say trunk candidate again. That's the worst name ever in Redskins history. Besides the safety we got that same year.
Adam Archuleta.
Stop.
Jennifer Wilcott came along with that though. But
I seen it.
I just love that we're not putting square pegs in round holes with regard to our personnel. So again, easy stuff. It's like 101 stuff that we just never did right. He's making a difference in the punt return game. I guess other personnel that like deserves to be mentioned.
Well, Austin Siebert, obviously, we're talking special teams.
Yep.
We had the number one leading scorer in the NFL. That's why we're talking about Mark Mosley. Keegan Tier shouted out Mark Mosley. We'll give him that. All of that what we were talking about. But at some point,
we'll get to the Bears. We're going to get to the Bears.
No, I just don't.
I wanted to make sure we're not
stop
leaving
trunk candidate. That's it.
All right, before we get fully off the trunk candidate, the offensive line group deserves to be included in this whole thing. I saw some really cool, and I'm sure there was more than one person that did this. I saw one person do it, and I even forget who it was, but I didn't do it, so I don't want to take the credit for it. But it was the 8 straight running plays to get things started. 8 straight running plays, 8 different formations.
Ooh.
8 straight running plays, 8 different formations, 8 different ways they ran the ball, including obviously the opening run with Jaden. He had 2 or 3 runs there that, kind of went the way they went because of his rib thing. They got McNichols the ball on some weird stuff. They direct snap to Brian Robinson Jr. They got him going on some things. So 8
By the way, he's a badass. Just had to say it. He's a badass man. He's a man amongst men.
He is. And
he's not Derrick Henry, but he's a bad son of a bitch.
And I think he deserves, if you ever want to have an excuse, if you would need one, to watch like all 22 type film, if you have the ability to see it, and I think a lot of people, there's ways to do it now. If you have the ability, he deserves it the most, to watch the camera angle from behind the offensive line of scrimmage, because it does 2 things with this team. One, you watch those 8 different formations. Do you realize Andrew Wiley and Brandon Coleman lined up next to each other on both sides of the ball at different times? Wiley and Coleman on the left, Wiley and Coleman on the right for these stacked, uneven, unbalanced lines. And they didn't always, they ran away from it. They ran into it. It was, and by the way, this was no huddle, tempo style, guys, moving like freaking dancers. Right. You had the counter tray action on the inside with the pulling.
Get to your best athletes on that pull.
And they ran away from the counter. Yeah. The run, Jayden Daniels run around the side, that was a counter left action, and he ran around it with Austin Eckler.
3 different options on that play.
Yes.
I mean, so people are like, why are we running the ball? I'm like, just shut the fuck up.
Dude, it was beautiful, beautiful. So 8 different runs, 8 different formations to get the game started in a no-huddle offense with mostly the same personnel. Sinnott lined up everywhere.
And Sinnott got his first touchdown. Cheers.
Cheers to that.
There's going to be plenty more. Jayden Daniels' reaction on the sidelines was great. You can tell these guys they love each other, man.
They do.
You don't have to love each other. You don't to be a successful football team, but I think there has to be a really core valued, respect.
Yeah.
But I feel like these guys just love it. Like they love playing with each other. They love being in the building. Like this is bonkers. Like this has been the worst building. This was like Muff Daddy's main residence for
where everyone knew.
Years. Yeah, exactly.
Like, this place is terrible.
Yeah, exactly. People, but it wasn't always spoken about. And people that were saying stuff, you were like, oh God, where did so and so go?
Yeah.
I mean, it was tough. It was tough, man.
That's part of the glory of 60+% new faces and bodies in pads, all new staff, new owner, new paint job, new curtains. That's the beauty of that. And then again, you get rid of guys like Jamin Davis, and we have to have like an adult conversation about Jonathan Allen, not me and you, but like us as a fan base, in the sense that not about like nothing bad, nothing negative. It's just in addition to whatever you want to put on an aging guy with a torn pec muscle issue, he also is a vestige of the last 7 years. Now, you can make the argument to keep him all day. You can make the argument that he's worth the money.
Vestige.
Siri. Vestige. That so, there is, the headlines about him on a personal level aren't the greatest either. Now, he's not doing anything illegal, but he's also, hasn't ingratiated himself with necessarily everybody outside of being a badass football player between the whistles, one of our better players for the last 7 years. But I think if I had to bet, I would say, he's not on the team next year for a variety of reasons that most people would say you're not even really taking that much of a leap of, it's not really a hard take.
Yeah. 17 million ain't much, but he ain't coming back on that deal, I don't think. Listen, he has to if he has to, but I think they understand. A veteran, they're going to take care of this guy if they can rework something at a cheaper rate. And yes, Tecmo just said that. I have it written down right here. They can rework something, but I don't know what you do. These pecs are just throws a whole wrench into all the negotiations. So they're going to sit down and hammer something out. And I think that there's a chance if he's willing to say, all right, I'll play for maybe a lower contract for
and
3
guarantee
years.
It or something.
Guarantee it for 2 and see what happens in the 3-year deal, just so he's not in this 1 year. Oh shit.
Yeah,
because it's not a guaranteed 17 if he gets cut, and who's going to pick him up and pay him more? And
it's $6 million hit to us and $17 million save.
And if he's not a weirdo that we don't know about, I feel like he's a guy that we wouldn't want to lose. I'm not all of a sudden just saying, hey, let's lose Jonathan Allen. He's been a good freaking player for us.
If Adam Peters signs him to any deal whatsoever, I am 100% in and on board, because I'll say, oh, he has the Adam Peters seal of approval. Then I will know that Adam Peters said, you know what? We need this guy. We like this guy.
Day one, Dan Quinn said, here's what was attractive. And he said about the ability. And they were like, all right, well, what about the roster, Dan? And he specifically said those two up front.
Of course.
Specifically shouted them out for their passion, their physicality. These are big, badass athletes. And this is what he wants. He doesn't want the plotters. He wants the athletes. So I think Jonathan Allen checks many boxes. I just don't know about the other side that you were talking about. I'm not nothing bad. And you said he hasn't ingratiated himself. I don't know about all that noise.
Yeah,
I know this. I know this. He's been damn good for us, and he checks all the physical boxes on the screen on Sunday.
If you're
don't know about the rest of the days of the week.
So like I said, if Adam Peters if he gets another deal here, he's got the seal of approval, and all that other stuff doesn't matter, and it probably is not real. But if you're looking for something more than just can a 30-year-old guy come back from a torn pec as a reason to not deal with him, I think there's two things. If his locker room, whatever persona isn't on the nice list, it's on the naughty list, that's an easy reason out. But also, the league now is full of teams that were the Redskins of the last 15 years. Like the Browns, like the Panthers, like the freaking, name your middling team that looks like they're on the way out and probably are in for a few bad years. They're good. They're the kind of teams that hire guys like Jamin Davis. They're the kind of teams that pay Jonathan Allen $23 million a year.
What a villain Jamin Davis just became this afternoon.
Yeah.
He's like the Kittle commercial. Except for you, Davis.
Sir.
We're all having fun, but you, Davis.
Those guys are going to have
him.
jobs. I mean, Jamin Davis is a linebacker in the league. He's not done playing football in the NFL.
I hope not.
He's
athletic enough to latch on as a linebacker or as an edge rusher. I think somewhere besides here. I guess
he's going to play for somebody who.
Thank you.
He's going to play for
that.
Yeah, of course, dude. He's going to play for somebody like we've been. Somebody that needs warm bodies that can make a play every once in a while. Be athletic. And that's the beauty of us being us. We are literally graduating. We're just shed the cocoon of terribleness from 10, 15 years where we were the teams that had Jamin Davis on our team.
Is it NFL Network that Ron Rivera works for?
Is it?
Because he's on every week. When they're like, so Ron Rivera, we're about to ask you a football question, but we just saw that Jamin Davis has that. You might be the dumbest son. Who's paying him? Who pays him to analyze? Oh, man. And I feel bad. Nothing but respect. Well, he's a very good person.
He should cover the
draft.
draft.
If you're going to get all paid like that to coach football, there's no feelings involved in me saying, you stunk here, bro.
He played for the 85 Bears. He's doing just fine.
He's the right guy to say, I did stink at drafting first rounders for the Burgundy and Gold. I feel like he would say that. He's a respectable 100%. Gentleman. Yeah. But this
He's like, what do you want
dude.
from me? He was 6'5",
We're thinking,
280 pounds.
where is he going to be for the draft analysis is what I want to know. What station?
I'm watching. It should be like him, Vinny Serrato, and Dave. What's the guy? The Gettleman, Gettleman from New York. Just like,
oh God,
let's just hear what they have to say.
In your expert opinion.
So, AGH said he's going to be like Samaje Perine. We'll see. I hope. That would be like the best story ever. If Jamin Davis has a career like Samaje Perine drafted here, I believe in the 4th round, bounced right on out. I mean, you can't be, he's not a frontline running back, and on a terrible, terrible team with a terrible organization, they're always going to draft somebody in the 6th round every year and cut the Samaje Perines right on out. I mean, that's just what they do. So good on him for being able to stick around in the league. I hope Jamin Davis is the same. Again, if someone, I believe that someone's going to
his speed will allow him to exist.
Yes, and I believe there's a team out there that will pay Jonathan Allen more than $20 million a year for like 4 years.
Without a doubt, that's going to happen
easily.
But do you want to go to Vegas for 4 years of losing? Do you want to go to?
Dude, he's been here for 7 years of losing.
Who was our best? Who was the? You know how easily we forget at this hour on Tuesday. But who was our guard that went down to? He was so good.
Brandon Sheriff.
What? I mean, has anyone heard his name again? He went down to Broward County and he has been unheard of.
He got that tax-free income.
He's happy. He's a hunter and a fisher. But are you a football player? Or are you a hunter or a fisher?
Yeah.
Honestly, we had a lot of guys that played here that were good football players, but we're never going to buy into great because they were great doing something else. This was the best place to come late in the career when you were moonlighting as a football player. And listen, Brandon Sheriff, it's like, whatchamacallit, sweet swinging third baseman for the Nats heads off to L.A. No one hears about him again. He wanted to get the hell out of there and get the hell out of anywhere. But Brandon Sheriff, I hope you're doing well. But I know this, football is not your top priority, no matter how good you are at it, if you'd made that choice. And we'll never hear from you again.
Never. I mean, and we spent so much time and energy believing that we were like cursed and like nothing good could ever happen for us.
So and what number is the Peckerhead channel?
We're going to find out. We're going to look on our guide.
I don't think is this one of these like Roku's or am I going to get on a list?
The idea
Google
that
searching it?
No, you can find it's over in Wales. It's
Peckerhead,
a UK
Peckerhead
thing.
Seems very calm these days for this climate. You know what I mean? You don't hear it that often, but I like it. I'm gonna use it.
Aaron
tomorrow.
Rodgers did get the nose picking. But,
no, I think he ate it. No, I think he ate it.
He totally ate it. There's a picture. It's on video.
Old salt finger. That was disgusting.
I can't imagine being a Cleveland fan or a Jacksonville fan or a Carolina fan because those people feel exactly the way we feel.
Not grosser than eating your own boogers. There's one line that I can't cross. Like gross can be. Being a parent, seeing it all, wiping it up, cleaning it up, doing it. I'm not exactly like a debutante myself.
Nope.
But watching another human eat their boogers is just. Oh boy, I didn't think we'd be talking about this tonight.
No,
I'm gonna get emotional.
No, I mean this was. I mean, I had ATM lined up for us, but we're gonna go straight away from that. We're just gonna go keep the boogers to mouth.
I would just watch
boogers
that and be like, nah, those people are weird. But you watch someone eat a booger and you're like, is that? It sets me back. It sets me back 15 minutes every time I see it.
If I pick, do I not bleed? I am not an animal. All right, so.
Oh God, I feel like I have to pick my nose.
We are playing the Chicago Bears.
Let's go.
In the battle of the last two Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks, 1 and 2, all the things we know about. We don't need to break it down. Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels are awesome. They're playing each other. The thing that we haven't talked about yet in this show that it becomes extremely relevant now that we're playing someone's varsity team is the fact that Jaden Daniels did exit the game. Not sure if you guys knew this. Not sure if you guys were watching. He left the game against his will. But he was gone. He came back. He smiled. He raised his hands for a touchdown. I thought that was promising. I'm reading into everything. Everyone was reading into everything. Jaden Daniels, day to day, week to week, whatever.
I don't know what that means either, but I think it means we're going to be really, really careful.
And also
he's probably going to play Sunday.
And correct me if I'm wrong, which I very often
I feel this in my plums.
Isn't this more of a how much pain can you play through kind of injury? Like, there's nothing you can do about
I
a
will
rib,
say
right?
this: if it is, a rib is the worst. Everyone know. Anyone here that's ever had even
Yes.
a pull or a bruise, but cracked, fractured, or broken. Oh God,
It sucks.
Yeah, but also adrenaline's a hell of a drug, and there's other things. But I do believe this: if it's anywhere near him having to play through pain, I don't think these guys are going to put him out there.
Okay.
Here's what our offense is. It is our offense. There's so many three-way goes in it. There's so many 2-run, 1-pass options, 1-run, 2-pass options. There's so many different things that we don't know about until we get up on that line of scrimmage. What could possibly happen? There's no way to schedule around it. We got Marcus Mariota. We think we can win. We're a good team. We're not putting our stud out there if he can't play the position it the right way.
Yep.
Unless it's the playoffs, perhaps, or something like that. But then we'll
Understood.
talk about that later. But it depends on the injury. But the ribs, that's one that can. If you get hit, that flat jacket can only work so well. I get it.
I mean, all the things you're doing to hurt your ribs at that point are happening inside the flak jacket, like breathing and sneezing and coughing and moving this much in any
Rolling
direction.
over.
Yeah.
If it hurts to roll over and you're thinking about playing an NFL game, that's kind of a shitty ass thing for a number 2 pick for a franchise that's been rejuvenized. So I understand we're going to do this with kid gloves. We've used a lot of references today that go back to like
gloves.
the 40s, but I'm just saying this. We're going to be very careful with him. I still think he's going to play. He's a competitor.
I think he's playing too.
I think he's a fast healer. If you guys all want to feel better, Google his college hit tape. I almost sent it to you.
I did. I saw it. No, I watched it.
I was going to send it to you guys today.
Dude, he got lit up.
The ever-living shit kicked at him for 5 years. He's taken every hit known to man. This is a football player. Don't let his slight stature, well, it's 6'4", but don't let the 215 fool you. He is barbed wire. He's sinewy. This guy is.
There's a little bit of
baller,
gamesmanship
dude.
and not saying whether he's playing it or not.
Why not? Because Vegas has got us as 2.5-point underdogs at home, and I'm thinking about coming out of retirement. I just said to my wife, "What's better than one house? 2 houses." And she said, "Thank God for her." 0 houses is not a good look. But I would come out of retirement for this.
I know,
and I want to at a limited level. I stunk at this. I've never been a good gambler. Stink.
Okay.
Stink at it.
I got two quick ones for you. We're going to put a pin in the gambling one because this is going to be a cautionary tale. But as recently as I believe it was, by the way, thank you to Lance Seacrest for the booze tonight. Appreciate you, Jameson Black Barrel, because it made me think of there was a toga party at Monkey's house.
I do not want to have this conversation. That's it. No, I'm good. I'm done.
I'm playing Beirut with Pat Mitchell as my teammate, and one thing leads to another, and I form tackled him on the hill behind JB's house.
Right, that's better than I thought was coming.
I get up, and if you can imagine a guy in a toga getting up, and the same exact all the same things that Jaden was doing, and I went to Megan and I was like. She was like, "I'm leaving. You can stay." And I was like, "I think I gotta leave." I had a Redskins game the next day.
I'm leaving. You're tackling dudes in togas. That's always my cue.
I gotta get.
I knew I didn't want to have this conversation.
So it went on, and I'm a civilian. I'm not you or any of these guys who know like what it feels like to get your ribs broken. But I'm struggling in my daily life. I'm trying to get up out of bed in the morning, take a shower, and go to work like an average slob.
You can't even fart, man.
No. And I'm like, this is not right. And so I got, I had to go to get X-rays, and the guy's like, "Dude, you have 2 broken ribs." It's like, "What happened?" And I was like, "So I was at a toga party at Monkey's, and I form tackled Pat Mitchell, and I trapped his foot underneath. And thank goodness my ribs broke, and he didn't get the Chris Godwin." Because the Chris Godwin last night was unreal.
So gross. But, I don't watch those things, but
no, I've not watched.
But don't translate from it because just real quick.
Okay, please.
If you do have broken ribs and you have to fart, it's
the worst.
You pull one cheek. Also, it makes no noise. It's just I don't know if you guys know this, but
squeaker.
If you just you don't want to
break your ribs. No,
you have to do it. You have to let it out. You just pull one cheek.
Yeah.
It just
you'll explode otherwise.
Did you see that flag fly?
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear a fart noise?
That's the beauty of. That's why. Like I said, I'm a civilian. You're a veteran. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Why am I coughing up blood? All I did was go to a toga party at JB's. Okay, so we'll put that one aside.
I never went to a toga party.
So I guess essentially what I'm saying is I know exactly what Jaden's going through. Last year ahead of the Chicago Bears game, this is relevant.
I don't think it is. We're never going to talk about the Bears.
We were coming into a game that they were 0-4. The Chicago Bears were 0-4. We weren't. I think we were 2-2. We thought highly of ourselves. I thought highly of ourselves. I'm sure we all did. I decided that was a good night to put a couple shekels down. And it turned out to not be a good night to put a couple shekels down. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think that's what's going to happen again, because they worked us. I mean, we got waxed by DJ Moore and everybody who was wearing a Bears jersey that night. Jalen Johnson. I don't see that necessarily coming at all. But we lived through some things. You know, that was the only game I went to last year. And I'm going on Sunday.
Thank God. T for the save.
What do we got? Sorry. Okay. There we go. Feeling up to it. He wasn't feeling up to it. I hope to be back next week. Say a prayer. Take a sip of whatever you're drinking for tea. Come on, guys. Oh, and then his Bahama brother, Michael Strachan.
Hell yes.
Sure could have used him here for that toga thing. But we'll get there.
No, T's never been to a toga party either.
He has worn a sheet. Not in a weird way. Like the normal sheet way. Everyone
titties out.
Titties all the way out. Thank you. I didn't want to say it, but that's what it was.
Feel better, T. I love the reactions here, man. Hell yes.
Get on there. Get on that.
And that Bahama brother, I will say this. The year before, it was, I will tell you, it was 2000, carry the 8, 2007, in the Bahamas on a Thursday morning, and it was 90 degrees, got on a flight, came up and went to a Thursday night football game. We played the Bears, and you were there. It was the cold.
Second coldest game I've ever been to in my entire life.
I got off the airplane. We're just walking on the little tunnel thingy in shorts, and I thought it was done. I've never in my lifetime, I do believe it was close to a 75-degree temperature swing in a matter of like 5 hours.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, it was.
Somebody better tell Michael Strachan about these possibilities now that he's on our team.
He's going to get a good one this weekend. The weather's going to be amazing. There was snow on the ground. They had plowed it, so it was walls of snow. So for the tailgate, you got out of your truck and you just started jamming beers into the wall of snow.
Yeah.
Put your table up. We were playing Beirut. The beers in the cups, as we're throwing the balls in the cups, the balls are bouncing off of frozen beer. Mm-hmm. In like 2 minutes, everything was frozen solid. If you didn't drink it in 2 minutes, it was frozen solid. Yeah. It was the only game that was colder than that was the game against the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore when we had Campbell and Portis and we got the snot kicked out of us that night, and it was legitimately like 20 degrees and just the most freezing cold game I've ever sat through in Baltimore.
Eventually, we're going to talk about the best football game in the NFL of the weekend. I don't have much to talk about.
Is it the best? It's got to be the best of the weekend.
I would say that it's the most exciting.
Yeah, because Washington, Carolina didn't necessarily do it. I mean, there was Kansas City and San Francisco on the same weekend. Otherwise, sure, Commanders Panthers has a chance.
The Panthers are so fudging bad, but guess what? The Bears are not. But guess who? What the one thing I do know about the Bears is everyone they played stinks.
Yeah.
We talk about quarterbacks a lot. We talk about offensive weaponry a lot.
Yep.
Bro, these guys have seen Will Levis, Anthony Richardson, Andy Dalton, Trevor Lawrence, old-ass Matt Stafford, and damn good C.J. Stroud in week 2, who had a team have 12 penalties for 125 yards and fumbled on their own goal line going in for the 2-touchdown lead late in the fourth. So I know their defense has put up some huge numbers, but they have not seen the likes of a Jaden Daniels. So Vegas has us as 2.5-point underdogs at home against this team.
I love it.
I love it too, but I think that says we're going to F with you all about the Jaden Daniels thing and let this play out as the week goes. Yeah. But right now they've got 1 million people by the Nuggets. They've got Chicago feeling something nice right now. You're going to go into that place and be favored by 2.5 after the whole world talking about them?
Kevin, Marcus Mariota hasn't taken any reps in practice.
I know.
At all. And I think he is this week.
I know.
So and Cliff Kingsbury and Marcus Mariota, if they're going to have enough time if he has to go. And I think if we're all being honest, he may very well have to play some. I think his ability to run this offense is, again, I what you said, Cliff Kingsbury is as much a reason of what's happening for us as Jaden as any of these guys. I mean, obviously, Trigger Man gets the lion's share of the Jaden's special, but what Cliff has been able to do and succeed at with Marcus Mariota for a full game, it's pretty cool. And I don't think that they believe that they can't do that against Chicago.
And there may not be a better screen passer over a 10-year span than Marcus Mariota. I'm just telling you. He has run any screen, every screen, with touch, zip. He's got every arm angle. He's got the size. He is a screen magnet. And the fact that he showed that he can put the ball down the field and go 14 for 15 within the framework of this offense for over a 3-drive, 3-score span, score 4 out of 5 drives coming in cold with not a big preseason, says a ton to me. I don't give a shit about Chicago, really.
No.
I think this is a very average league. I don't think we're great, but I think we're good. And I don't know who's great. I think there might be 5 great teams, if that. Then there's about 8 good ones. But I'm just saying this. Marcus Mariota, we're a team. We're not a one-man freaking squad.
Yep.
Yes,
we're not a one-man squad.
Yes, he's one of the best players in the league. But this is a top 10 player in the league right now.
But like I said, that's why the film footage behind the line of scrimmage is so meaningful to us as Commanders fans because even with Marcus Mariota in there, the way that they operated, again, 8 runs, 8 formations, clockwork, guys were in a different spot almost every single play, and we drove right down the field. Now, if you have Jaden Daniels operating that offense, you feel pretty damn good. But Marcus Mariota operated that offense, and that's the guys up front. We just can't say enough. It's so night and day. It's so much different than what we experienced last year on the offensive line specifically. And everybody understands. Our audience understands that the game of football is won and lost on the line of scrimmage. We know we've had some badasses on the defensive line for a long time. But our defensive line and on the offensive line, it's been a tough road for a while.
And it's first and second down, and here's where we're going to be good. And that's why Marcus Mariota was rushing the ball last week. We saw him have about 4 or 5 rushes early on to get his feet wet. But that's a part of our offense. This is what we do. Cliff Kingsbury has been a wizard. We don't have a different set of – we have the same offense with different portions of that these two guys are better at. It's not 2 different offenses. It's the same shit. It's his offense. And if this guy's better at this and this guy's better at that, he's going to make a little minor adjustment. You got to get out of first and second down to get into third and manageable. One thing C.J. Stroud had a terrible time with against Chicago. Midway through the second quarter, after some early success, all of a sudden, Chicago made some adjustments.
3rd and 6, 3rd and 7.
And anything in long, I do believe that it was 6 of 7. Anything over 3rd and 5. Anything over 3rd and 5. C.J. Stroud went 1 for 7 on 3rd down from early second quarter to the end of the game.
Yeah.
That killed them. You throw in 12 penalties for 120 yards, which we don't do. We don't do it.
That's right.
What I'm saying is this. We're freaking better than Chicago across the board. We're at home, and I don't give a shit who the quarterback is. We win that day. And if Jaden Daniels comes out healthy, I think it could be a massacre. 34-20 is a massacre in the NFL to me for a team that comes in favored against us. But that's a Jaden Daniels play.
And you're right.
Daniels plays.
You're right to throw a score out there because we are in our 1 hour of show. The cool thing about the Cliff Kingsbury offense and the way that they run the ball from the quarterback position what Marcus Mariota did is because they know on their plays when they have that two pass, 1 run, 2 run, whatever, all the different ways in which the quarterback can make a decision. The quarterback knows if I can get 4 yards on 1st down, and I'm going to get it. I'm just going to get it. And because 2nd and 6 turns into 3rd and 4 or 3rd and 3, and everything about what we have been able to do on 3rd and for that matter 4th down in the short yardage is those are our plays. That's where the magic of our playbook opens up is when we have to get 4 yards and we're gonna spread you out and we're gonna throw it at Trent Scott, or we're gonna
be aggressive.
Or Luke McCaffrey.
3rd and 4. You guys think this is what we're doing?
Yeah.
Guess what? Cliff is bonkers.
He's bonkers.
He's aggressive. he's coaching offense for a head coach that's telling him be as aggressive as shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then he looks over at Joe Witt and he's like, "You too, you son of a bitch. Let's go." If I keep saying son of a bitch, I think it's the whiskey getting to me.
I think it is the whiskey. Son of a bitch is a whiskey phrase.
It really is.
Phraseology.
It really is. Son bitch is based on Burt Reynolds' father, who's a Florida lawman.
George Ferguson?
Yep.
Wow.
Based on his father, who's an actual Florida law. S-U-M, son bitch.
Son bitch.
That was Burt Reynolds' daddy's. I'm just saying. I read weird stuff.
He gives and he gives
Google
and he gives.
May I have a halfie before we finish this?
Yeah.
The black jerseys, though. Oh, no.
All right, okay, so-
all right, hold on.
Yep.
Ken Harris said Tony Romo. Greg Martin said black jerseys. Hopefully, you guys mean that Tony Romo is wearing a black jersey?
No, is this game on CBS? Sorry, you said halfie. I didn't know. I couldn't pour.
I'm terrible at fractions. That's it. Oh, glug, glug. I never should have said anything. But I know this.
Wait,
Son
so
of a bitch.
I thought I have no idea what channels this game's on. I don't know about the
Ken Harris, you trust Ken Harris, right? He said Romo again.
It's a
and
slam
Greg
dunk.
Martin, who we also trust, said black jerseys again.
There was no. So I know the black jerseys are a thing. Listen, we need to wash this black jersey thing right on out of our the burgundy.
We need to wash that gray right out of
our hair.
Oh, how do we know
burgundy
these things?
jerseys and the gold pants are the best. We should never be out of them.
It looks so great.
The black jerseys we've got to be done with. My assumption, I believe, is that you declare these things in August or before the season started. And now, in that period of time, and this is going to sound crazy, I think our focus was on hiring coaches and drafting the best players possible. We'd never done that before. We were worried about jerseys. So
I get it.
This one may have slipped by.
That's fair.
We got to be done with black jerseys.
All right, let's
forever.
do that. And let's do that quickly. Let's also say this. Caleb Williams has been my favorite quarterback I've seen as a young man in high school from this area. I've said that a million times. Also in college from this area because I became a fan in high school. He is my second favorite quarterback on the field on Sunday and the second best option for us as a football family. We have the right guy. I think two of my favorite. I said the Miller Lite commercial. It can both be right.
It can both be right.
It can both be right. I know one thing. We're right to have our guy, whether he plays or not. We have the right guy here. I am 1,000% convinced of that. But I'm going to watch Caleb Williams, and you will see him make some plays and be like, holy shit. Dante Fowler or something will have him sacked up and wrapped up. Next thing you know, he will spin and spry and roll. He rolls left and throws right better than anyone I've ever seen.
Yep.
The righties can roll right and throw right any which way they want. He's gotten himself in some trouble and earned some sacks with his ability to extend plays. Against some shitty teams recently, he's been getting the ball out quicker. He is nowhere near as
if Frankie's
as developed
chasing him
as
down,
Jaden is right this very moment. But I will say this. He also is capable of some crazy shit right now.
and don't forget he's playing in front of his town. I mean, he played his high school ball in Washington D.C.
AGH watch with T.
Yep.
Ken and I, AGH flew across the pond into our nation's capital. AGH and I had some lunch at Union Station the day before, met up at Gonzaga, and he watched multiple pros on the DeMatha side in the secondary.
Yeah,
he watched Caleb Williams dominate. That was the last time that Gonzaga beat DeMatha AGH, and it was cool that you were there and that you're here talking about it. However many years later. How many years later is that?
I believe that was 2019.
That
No,
was 18. Right?
18 was the year.
18 is the Super.
November 18 was the DeMatha
fall
Gonzaga.
of 19. That was 5 years ago.
Gonzaga beat DeMatha that day.
5 years ago, coming up on the next week or two.
Yeah. We got
right around now. It was about 5 years ago from right now, man.
Yeah. If you guys are going to be around, we're going to be doing live and for free on the First Amendment Sports Channel on Saturday at 1 p.m. St. John's and DeMatha. Both are great teams, great players. You'll be seeing them on Saturdays and on Sundays. The DeMatha.
Both teams have pros on their roster.
Yeah. They both have
no
pros.
doubt.
No doubt on the roster.
30 college players, but.
And even though I hate to say it, Ken Harris, DeMatha looks good this year, and we'll talk more about that then. But high school football,
Saturday, 2019, last Saturday, AGH.
That's right.
That's cool, my brother.
2019.
Cool to have
Saturday.
a friend like you to hang out with in DC. I had crazy stuff going on with the kids and everything, but I was like, I actually have like a 3-hour window.
There's a lot of guys on that in that game. Now, some of them, obviously, Olufushanu and Caleb were just in the first round of this draft. Marshawn Lloyd was he there still there that year?
Yes.
That was his senior year, I believe, right?
That was his senior year.
Yeah, that was his
He
senior
was
year.
He was their best player.
Chumbo, I can't.
To center from Michigan, who now plays for
He's in the
the
league.
Mathis center was in the league.
Yeah,
Josh Wilson,
Yep.
not Josh Wilson, Josh Wallace. Sorry, yeah, there was
Big
there's a
game. Cam Edge
linebacker.
was there. A lot of guys who play like you watch Maryland. I watched Maryland. Tyzay Johnson is up there, but you had
Maryland team captain Tyzay Johnson.
Maryland team captain Tyzay Johnson. Cam Edge was in that game. He played in Maryland for a hot second. Anyways, fun high school football on Saturday. I owe you guys a score. Marshawn was there. AGH
Yeah, 5
knows.
years ago, two guys were drafted in the NFL. Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
3, 4.
Yeah,
Come on. Show up at a high school game. There's 5 NFL draft picks.
Those
nice
players
job, AGH. Good call, bro.
are going to be here on Saturday afternoon at 1 p.m. We'll see you guys then.
Yeah.
Chicago is going down at home on national TV. I will be at the game, so I won't hear Tony Romo live, but obviously I'll rewatch it. Maybe I'll rewatch it without the sound. I think we win that game, and I will tell you right now that the Washington Commanders are going to still continue scoring points. I did say we were going to score 40 or more this past week against Carolina. I don't think that was a bold call. I'm not predicting we're going to score 40 points against the Chicago Bears. I do think it's still going to be a 3-burger. I think Austin Siebert gets just a teeny tiny bit involved.
Siebert.
And I think you're talking about 37. That's 3 Siebert field goals chuckled in throughout the day. And I think we give up. Unfortunately, I do think we give up some scoring drives. I think we hold them to some field goals. And I think they're going to have a score. It's going to be something like 37-31. And as a result of some missed 2-pointers, it's going to be a weird way to get there because I think we will contain them. Interestingly, watching Caleb be Caleb is going to be, first of all, be surreal. So surreal. It's the first time I'll have seen him live since I saw him live as a high school player.
It's kind of a neat thing. That was our first gig, man.
Yeah, it was our first gig. And
your first gig's a freaking NFL first pick of the draft. That's nuts.
Watching.
We just wanted to call a game.
We just wanted to call a game. Let's let us call a game.
Let's call one game.
How about the greatest high school game in the history of high school football? Watching Frankie Louvu go after Caleb is going to be interesting because okay, so if you're Frankie Louvu and you're that good and that fast and that athletic, there is a decision point. Like, do you win? Like, if you're, it's like it's when do you break down? Like, when you're attacking an offensive player, like in basketball, when you're attacking an offensive player, sometimes you're going at right after it. In football, you're going at the body. But there is also in your mind as an athlete and someone who's been coached, you're like, I might need to break down here and be ready for a move one way or the other. And so, Frankie Louvu has the ability to break down. He also has the ability to run through Caleb Williams' soul.
Caleb Williams needs to make sure he knows where number 4 is at all times because that's a guy that'll put you out a couple weeks. And this ain't the WCAC, of which tough ass conference, but this is the big stage, and it's going to be a great performance by 2 young quarterbacks. They're going to be my 2 favorite quarterbacks for the next 10 years. I'm just saying.
Hands
I
down.
love the position and I love all of the history. But we have Jaden Daniels. I do believe he plays this week. I really, really do.
I believe he plays this week as well.
I can't imagine that he doesn't.
Ken Harris is looking for payback from 1940, which I totally respect. We're just going to reverse the scores. Washington 73, Bears 0. That would be fantastic. We have had some great games. In a terrible era of Redskins football, the Chicago Bears came to town frequently for whatever reason, and we got it done. There was actually a great Darryl Green moment. I'm just thinking about it. So Megan and I are just married. This is like 2003-ish. And she goes, she's working. This is years away from having kids. And she's like, hey, by the way, like this woman in my office, she's like, I have tickets to the game this weekend. Do you guys want to go? This is before I had season tickets. And I was like, hell yeah, I want to go. Let's go. And she gets the tickets. We're getting ready to go to the game. First question for Megan, Saint Megan. And I have to say it. She was like, so, can I bring my book? Like she was going to bring her book. And she's from Vermont. She doesn't come from a football whatever, but she understands the Redskins great. I said, you can't bring your book. I'm sorry, you can't bring your book. We're gonna be okay.
There will be a program.
There will be a program. Now we beat that ass up and down the field that day. We destroyed the Bears. But you will recall, Big Daddy Wilkinson picks up scoops up a loose ball and proceeds to run. I forget how many yards. I'm betting someone on the board
The wrong way.
No, no. He's going down and he has a one-man, what's the word?
Red rubber ball.
Red rubber. He's got a one-man army, but like it's Darryl Green.
It's a globe. Oh, sorry.
Darryl Green is initially being like, dude, give me the ball. Like he catches up to, he's like running alongside. He's like, hey, why don't you just give me the ball?
Roadrunner me real quick, homie.
Why don't you just give me the ball and I'll just take it all the rest of the way? So Dan Wilkinson is not getting rid of this ball. No. He's taking it the distance. So Darryl Green has to be like a convoy. Like he's basically directing him all the way, and he runs next to Big Daddy Wilkinson all the way down the field. In addition to beating their ass that day, they also gave up a scoop and score to Big Daddy Wilkinson. It was, there's no way you let that happen ever. But I always remember Darryl Green initially was like, give me the, let's go. Let's go. Yeah. And once he realized it wasn't going to happen, it's like he like ran down the field and he like ran back. Then he ran down and he was like, hey, everything's good down there. You could just keep on going. Let me go check it out again to make sure it's still clear 10 yards. I mean, it was amazing. And he looked this big, and Wilkinson was this big.
Wilkinson was round.
Yes.
He was like 6'3", 6'2". Greg Martin was sorry, and AGH.
Yes.
When you got to go, you got to go.
Got to go. We have got to go. We had a great time. Oh, Luke. Yeah, I know. We need T. T really does provide a balance to the whole thing.
Ken and I, we weep openly before. I'm like, no, but really, we are one when we are three. We know that.
Oh,
but you have to be able to step up. You have to be able to step up.
That's a T-shirt.
And we know that. No, but we've learned that. Listen, we're teammates for a long time. We're missing our brother. I hate it. I've tried to ignore it. I'm pretty good at just like putting it out of my blah blah. But look, we're in touch. Like, T's doing good, man. He is, like he said,
he's gonna be okay.
This dude's the baddest ass I've ever met. So certainly miss him tonight.
Yeah,
and but we got to see him last week. It's not like listen, we don't want you guys to think like it's all doom and gloom. T's just doing. T's a dad. He's a lawyer. Dude, he's a scientist. He's so many things.
I'm something of a scientist myself. No,
Ken's also. I work with two scientists as a bartender. There's so many nuclear reactions.
T's gonna have good days and bad days, and on the good days, we are going to enjoy the shit out of it. And on bad days, we're going to be right there in the foxhole with him. And that's just the way it has to be. So today we got his back on a Tuesday night.
Of course, that's how we do it.
We appreciate.
That's what T would do. If we
everybody being with us, on that. Thank you guys so much. We'll be back in 7 days. We're going to talk about this Bears game in a little bit more detail than we talked about the Carolina Panthers game. You will notice I didn't do stats and snaps and all that crap. Just didn't feel like that was the way to cover a game against the Carolina Panthers.
No, it's at your corner store.
It's at your corner.
What? That 40, baby. We got that 40.
$5.
Yes.
Just $5.
40 for $5.
We'll see you guys in 7 days.
Yeah.
It's time to get out of here on a little bit of EO love. Where we at? Let's go. Thank you, by the way. We're sharing all the revenue of today's show. That's we're splitting 17.7 cents with you tonight, EO. You're welcome. Know what I did that day. Shit. How did I get? Oh.
Scottish T showed up late. Don't get so sappy, everyone. If it's not Scottish, it's crap. Sorry, bro. Can't help it.
Live.
I liked how Greg Martin was taking a shit late. AGH didn't like it. The same way I don't like how people eat their own boogers. Everyone has their thing. Everyone has their thing.
I thought this was a safe space. The trust tree with the nest.
Pull that cheek. It comes out like this.
We would have been offline already if T was here to get us offline.
Just one cheek, not both. That makes a whistle noise. No. It's like... It's like a blue knot at the end.